Hi YouTubers, welcome back to Vintage Fashion Hat Chat. I'm Norma Shephard, the director of the Mobile Millinery Museum and the author of 5 books on vintage fashion, including 1,000 hats. And the hats I want to talk to you about today are those that come in a matched set with some other accessory, and I find those really exciting, particularly the ones from the 1930s. During the Depression, I thought that designers and also home sewers were very, very creative. And the different combinations of matched sets are quite interesting. So a hat might be matched to a scarf, to a pair of gloves, to a handbag, that sort of thing. It's a lot of fun to look at, and I have brought 3 matchy matchy sets from our archives that are from the early 20th century. So the first one I want to start with is, I think, quite spectacular. We're looking at genuine Ocelot in a cap style, and just imagine how elegant the original owner of this would have been. And we have satin lining, we have a wonderful Saks Fifth Avenue label, and even better than that, we have the matching muff. So a great look in the 1930s. And as you would expect with the muff, it has the wrist strap, and it also has a little, did you hear that zip? A little zipped compartment inside, and it's difficult to see, and I'm kind of feeling around. It's not very deep. Probably enough space in there to maybe hold a little bit of mad money. So it's a wonderful fur set in perfect condition. And of course, we know we're never really going to see these types of exotic furs used in millinery and fashion in general anymore. Thankfully, we have some really good imitation furs. It's different if you're talking about mink or rabbit fur. Those are ranched furs. There's no risk of endangering the species. And speaking of mink, I have another really cool matchy matchy set to show you. This hat is fashioned on a wool felt base, trimmed with mink tails, self fabric wool little bow, and very iconic of that era, the snood at the back. And of course, originally the snoods on these hats in the 1940s during the Second World War, they started out as being a practical device for women working in factories, taking the jobs of the men who had gone off to war. But of course, fashion quickly picked up the idea, and this would be great to put your long locks, your curled hair, into the snood at the back. And as wonderful as this is, wait till you see the matching muff. This is the only bow-shaped muff that I have ever seen. I'm sure there are others. It's banded with the beautiful satin ruching, and the back, of course, is satin ruching. We have the wrist strap. It's going to give you lots of warmth, and a little pocket in the back. It just zips with the finger ring. Now, I was lucky to acquire this. A friend of my mother's had it for years. She had actually purchased it in the 40s. My grandfather was a mink rancher, and I understand that the mink tails from this hat came from his ranch. And years later, my mother's friend donated this to the museum when Mom was down on a visit to Montreal. Now there's another piece I want to show you. This is not fur this time. This is a fabric matchy matchy set, and this time it's a hat and a purse. Now this is a little Dutch cap, as you can see, very typical of that iconic style, done in a plaid. This is the comb, of course, inside, which would help secure that hat when you're wearing it. The label, this is not a homemade piece. The label is Ray Spires, Montreal. And Montreal, of course, a great fashion center. And this is from the 30s, and the purse that accompanies it is made from the same fabric. It's a very deep bag, quilted. You just slip your hand through. This will hold your lunch. It would hold quite a bit. I think there's tissue paper in there now. And what's wonderful as well is this brass pin. Now, it's not an actual brooch because there's no pin on the back, but a lot of jewelry was made specifically to be used as ornaments on hats and purses and that sort of thing. But I mean, if you had a mind to make your own, you could easily reproduce something like this and trim it with a brooch. So those are 3 examples of some matchy matchy sets, and I'd love to hear whether you have any in your collection, what you do collect. Please leave me notes in the comments box of things that you'd like to see me pull out of the archives, or any questions on vintage millinery that you would like answered, and I will be happy to address those. In the meantime, thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed it, please hit like, share, subscribe, and I'll remind you that I do post Mondays and Thursdays. So till we meet again, have a happy evening.